Circumcision. It's a word you've probably heard, maybe in passing or maybe it's something you've always wondered about. But what's the real story behind this ancient practice? Let's roll back the clock. Archaeological evidence shows circumcision dates back at least 6,000 years, with some historians pointing to ancient Egypt and the Middle East. In fact, you can actually spot circumcision scenes carved into the walls of Egyptian tombs, like that of Ankh-Mahor, around 2400 BCE. But here's the twist. There's evidence suggesting even Australian Aboriginal communities practiced it as far back as the Paleolithic era. Think, 45,000 years ago. That's way before the pyramids. So why did people start doing this? Well, it depends on where and when you look. For some, circumcision was all about religion. In Judaism, it's a sacred covenant, usually performed on the 8th day after birth. In Islam, it's a key tradition, seen as an act of purification and a way to follow the example of the Prophet Muhammad. Even some Christian communities, like the Ethiopian and Coptic Orthodox, have kept the practice alive for cultural reasons. But religion isn't the only factor. In many societies, circumcision became a rite of passage, a test of courage or a symbol of moving from childhood to adulthood. Being circumcised could even mean belonging. It's about fitting in, bonding, and showing you're part of the group. One wild theory? Some think it started as a way to avoid human sacrifice. If you were circumcised, you might be considered imperfect and spared from the altar. Fast forward a few thousand years, and the reasons start to shift. In 19th century Victorian England and America, doctors began promoting circumcision for health reasons, blaming everything from diseases to unruly desires like masturbation on an intact foreskin. And even today, you'll hear about supposed health benefits, things like reducing the risk of urinary tract infections in infants, lowering the chances of certain sexually transmitted infections, or improving hygiene. Of course, not everyone agrees. Medical organizations around the world are divided, especially in countries with low rates of sexually transmitted infections. And that's led to some pretty heated debates about infant circumcision, especially when it comes to ethics and consent. So where does that leave us? Circumcision's origins and the reasons it's practiced are complex and ever-changing. Religion, culture, social belonging, and health. They've all played a role. And today, the conversation continues, shaped by history, belief, and evolving ideas of health and ethics.